I want to talk to you a little bit about, if you've ever seen a book that says how to get the most out of this book, well, this is how to get the most out of this presentation. And number one is that it's based on, I've been talking to a lot of prospects lately. And what I found is that I was talking way above their head. 27 years I've been in the industry. I've taught it at a college. I've just been all over the place. I've studied it legally. I've done a lot of things. And so I was just talking way above people's head. And the first thing that needs to happen is that your prospect needs to be convinced that they want to be in network marketing. It's kind of like, in the dating world, you've got to kind of know, you want to know if that person even wants to be in a relationship, and then they can decide if it's you or not, right? So that has to come first. And I found that as I was talking to prospects, I had to first get that part in and get it correct to make sure that they wanted to be in network marketing.
Yep.
And what I'm going to walk through here is, all right, there's got to be some focus point. It's right there? All right. Okay. Have you ever heard the phrase, seeing is believing?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you believe it?
No.
It's not true. Okay, Fred Cooper and I talked to a prospect on the phone. He said he was interested in compensation, and he wanted to see that our compensation paid more. It didn't matter how many times we showed him, how many different directions we showed him, he didn't believe it. Okay? Like, Fred says, okay, we'll pay you your compensation plan, and I'll give you extra. He still couldn't believe it. Okay, so sometimes you're doing it all right. The prospect is not communicating to you the truth about what they want. All right, so you have to keep that in mind when you go through this. All right.
Is it on?
Is it on? That's a good question.
On the right of it.
On the right of it.
There you go. There you go.
How about that? The guy can defuse a bomb, but he can't figure out. And the pointer even worked. Awesome. Okay, now we're rolling. Whether your prospects actually say this or not, these are the questions that you need to answer as to, am I interested in network marketing? Okay? So, I'm going to run through these. Number one, what is network marketing? People can't define it. I promise you they can't define it. Is it legal? What's wrong with it? What's right with it? Is it professional? And can I make money with it? So that's what I'm going to cover here. All right. Let me suckle it off and on again. Okay, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm just going to say next slide. All right, so I'm going to cover what is network marketing. Next slide. There are people and companies that make stuff. Next slide. And there are companies and people who sell stuff. Those are the two broad categories, and that's all there is. Network marketing is on the sell side of the equation. Now, you can get very detailed sometimes, and you can say, but wait a minute, Deanna makes the products. Well, Deanna writes exactly what she wants in a product, and a manufacturing company makes it. Okay? So, yes, some companies get so big that they can now manufacture their own products. I don't want to get this confusing. I want to keep it simple. And so there's just people who make stuff and people who sell stuff. Network marketing is on the sell side. Next slide. Inside of sales stuff, there are two categories of people, or companies. Number one is retail sales. Those are walk-in retail sales, like malls, strip malls, kiosks, mom and pop shops. Number two, next slide, direct sales. The definition of direct sales is sales made outside of a retail store. Okay, so if it's outside of a retail store, it is direct sales. Examples are websites, door-to-door, telemarketing, flea markets, farmers markets, direct mail like catalogs, letters out, door hangers, postcards, and network marketing. Everybody clear that direct sales just simply means it's made outside of a store. It used to be, when network marketing first started, it was weird. And everyone assumed that we all went door to door. When the internet came out, when catalogs, like Sears catalogs, it started confusing people at that time. That, wait a minute, Sears is a walk-in store, but it's also direct sales because they do catalog sales. Okay, can you see how this has now morphed into an entirely different world? All right, so network marketing is just a part of that. Next slide. Network marketing is also known as multi-level marketing. Don't let anybody try to fool you that there's any difference. There isn't. Okay? Somebody wanted to try to hide from this word called multi-level marketing, and so they created network marketing as a term. But multi-level marketing, network marketing are the exact same thing. Next slide. In traditional sales, this is the way it's set up. So if you were to go to Microsoft, if you were going to Oracle, if you were going any other company, you're going to see that the human resources department will hire a sales manager, will hire sales reps. The sales manager manages those sales reps. When the traffic gets too much and overwhelms the sales manager, the human resources department will come in and they'll hire another sales manager, train that person up, and then hire sales reps for the manager. Get that?
Yep.
I call that, next slide, I call that multi-width marketing. Okay, because it's just going wide. Next slide. As a comparison, you have the same people, sorry I'm walking off the set, you have the same exact concept, but it just goes in a vertical fashion. But here is the greatest advantage, in my opinion, is that it's not a human resources department that's hiring these sales managers. It is taking someone who is a sales rep and developing them into a sales manager. And so when you see people walk up on the award ceremony, those are people who are stepping up in learning. They are becoming the sales manager, if you will.
Right.
And so, to me, it's no different. Next slide. Yep. You jump one. There you go. So that one on the right is multi-level marketing. And here is the definition. If it pays on more than one level, it is multi-level marketing. You see a lot of affiliate programs out there that say 2-tier affiliate program, 3-tier affiliate program. That's multi-level marketing. If a sales manager gets paid on multiple levels, it's multi-level. Like multi-level. People are so confused by this, and I don't understand why. It's like we gave you a clue. It's in the text. Okay, next slide. So, by definition, multi-level marketing is simply, next slide, a way to describe how the seller of a product is compensated. If you were to pull your kids together to create a lemonade stand and you created a compensation plan for them and you named it lemonade compensation, that would be similar to multi-level marketing. It is just how you're compensated. You're compensated on more than one level. Is everybody crystal clear now on what this confusing industry is?
Yeah.
All right, good. Next slide. Now I want to give you a little bit of differences so that you can start understanding this. Remember, this is what you can explain to your prospect. In retail sales, there is traditionally more commission on the retail level. Not on your sales team, but on a retail level. In traditional, you might get 50%, 100%, maybe even 200% markup on the product, right? And so if you got a 50% commission and you got it on a $100 product, that's $50. Everybody see that? All right. And then if you got 10 customers, you'd make $500. Next slide. In network marketing, typically, until Fred got a hold of the Juvet example, you get more. So let's say you only get 20 or 30% commission. times $100 product, so you make $20, times 10 customers, you make $200. You got the picture?
Yep.
All right. So you say, well, we're taking a hit there. In retail sales, they make more per customer. Well, what we give up, next slide, is we get team commissions. And if you only got 5% on your team, and you had a team of 100 people, and they got 10 customers, now you're making $5,000. So it's $5,000 plus your 200, so you made $5,200 as opposed to 500. So we take the hit on the retail commission, but we make it up on team sales. All right? That is the fundamental difference in traditional marketing versus network marketing.
Right.
All right, next slide. Is it legal? Next slide. I am not going to go into the legal side. We're obviously not illegal as an industry. I have a book, and you can download it free, no opt-in, no anything. I just set up a page. It's called Network Marketing Simplified. You just go to timsalestips.com/RX. There's no sales, there's no offers, there's no anything on there. That's just clean. You can go download the whole book. Okay? It's because what I'm explaining to you, I want you to go and use with your prospects. And I don't have time to cover all of the detail of it. It's the only reason I'm doing that. Okay, next slide. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with network marketing? Now, this is the thing that I'm telling you. Your prospect won't say this. They won't ask this, but they have it.
Yep.
Okay? So that's why I'm covering this. Next slide. First of all, there's no perfect industry. And if you have one, let me know. Okay? It doesn't matter. Stock trading, doctors, dentists, everybody has a bad in their industry. Right? So that's the first thing. Next slide. One of the things that's wrong is that the model confuses people. If you go to like a restaurant or something like that, you walk in and you see customers all over the place, and you see the waitress who is the salesperson, and then you see a sales manager or the presence of. In other words, everybody's right there. You're looking at them. Right. In network marketing, you are the customer, you are the sales rep, and you are the sales manager. And so people are kind of confused when they look at that. They're like, well, where's the customer? Where's the this and where's that? Well, it's all in one. And that confuses people, and so it takes some explanation. Next slide. Typically, in network marketing, there is a less focus on getting customers. And what that causes is who or where is the customer? All right, so you have to explain that. Next slide. People can't discern or define a pyramid scheme versus an MLM company. They can't define it. And when you can't define a pyramid, you can't differentiate it from MLM. If you can't define MLM, then you can't differentiate it from a pyramid. You have to know the definition of both to be able to see the difference. Make sense? And by the way, we get paid a lot of money for discerning these things. Okay? So get really good at it. And in the boss, I have discerned it in the boss. I've explained what know your industry is what that area is called. Next slide. And also, not a lot of people understand that there's not a lot of money on the front end of the compensation plan. Right. And so they'll look at the retail and they'll say $30 on a $100 product. How am I going to get rich doing that? Right? Like, they don't understand team sales, and they certainly don't understand the compound effect. All right? So if you took a dime and you doubled it, you now have, what, 20 cents, right? And then you double that. Now you have 40 cents, and then 80 cents. So the compounding effect of team sales, people don't understand. And you need to explain that. Next slide. Some people have tried MLM and it didn't work. And the reason I have it in quotes is because what they tried didn't work. And how they tried it didn't work. And so you have to get a person through this. So if they had a bad experience with it, you have to help them out with it. Next slide. Some people have been solicited unprofessionally. It just happens. All right? So you don't want to be that guy or that gal. that does that. And so if someone has had a bad experience, let's go back to relationships for a moment. Let's say that you start dating someone and that person is carrying a lot of baggage from the last relationship. You kind of have to deal with it, right? You know, you got to say, hey, I'm not that guy. You know, I've never beat you like the other guy did, you know? So you have to separate that from the other. Next slide. Maybe a better term. So there's a phrase out there that says you have to bother, or you have to bug, or you have to, always annoy your friends and family. Right? That's the way that the anti-MLM people put it. I assure you, with the weight loss results that I have helped people, my friends, people I care about, I assure you they do not see me as bugging them, annoying them. Right. They are very much thankful. Yep. Those people who have made a lot of money are not saying, you know, oh, he bugged me. No, he didn't. He helped. Mm-hmm. Right? So you don't have to talk to your friends. Let me just make that very, very clear. But you have to promote. There is no such thing as a business that doesn't promote. It's not a business unless it promotes. Okay? So if you decide that you're not going to talk to your friends, fine. You're just going to have to promote.
Right.
So you have to advertise. Next slide. You have to get customers and reps. Well, let's work this out a little bit. Every business has to get customers. All right, so that's a wash, that's a flush. Next slide, is every big business, and I'm talking about 100 million, 500 million, $1 billion company, you have to have either reps or you have to have employees.
Right.
There is no such thing as a big business with one person.
Right.
It doesn't exist. You have to have the multiplying effect
Yep.
of people.
That's right.
For you to create wealth. It's the only way it happens.
Right.
Whether that's employees or reps. All right. So I personally would rather have reps. Next slide. I did this little exercise, and this is really awesome. I hope you guys are recording this, because this is fun. I just sat down and said, would I rather have 1,000 reps, or would I rather have 1,000 employees? All right. Next slide. 1,000 employees. If you paid them $50,000 a year, that means you wake up in the morning and you are $156,000 in debt every morning.
Dang.
That's what happens when you have 1,000 employees. I was getting on to Delta Airlines, and I was watching that movie that they always play in the very beginning, and he says, we have 58,000 employees or something like that. And I just quickly did the math because I was sitting there working on my slides, and I was like, wow, that guy wakes up in the morning $116 million in debt every morning. Right? That's crazy. Right? So when people say you have to get reps, I'm like, gladly. Next slide. If you have 1,000 reps, you wake up in the morning and you have no debt. Next slide. And you have $428 new in your bank account. All right, that's based upon that calculator over on the right-hand side. But it's based on each of those reps having one customer of $150. All right? So would you rather wake up in the morning with the $428 in your pocket or have a debt of $136,000?
Money in your pocket.
Yeah, money in your pocket. All right, so if you're going to have people to multiply, it's better to have reps than employees. Next slide. What's right with network marketing? Yeah, almost. Next slide. So number one best thing I think is relative risk. Okay, so there is some risk. It's a relative risk though. So $500 to $2,000 in startup capital, and then a few $100s a month in working capital to advertise, to come to trainings like this, to purchase a book or something like that. And that is a small risk in the scope of the upside potential. Next slide. Come in. Easier to transition. You can start part-time while you're still doing your daytime job and then transition over to full-time.
Right.
A lot of you know I started out in the military. I got to $20,000 a month my first year, $65,000 a month in my second year part-time, and then I went full-time. So it's easy to transition to full-time. Next slide. Residual income. Oh boy, do people not understand the beauty of this thing. When you have a job, you start over every morning. If you're in traditional sales, like let's say real estate, you are, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They planted good seeds, they built good relationships, and you're going to get referrals. All right, I acknowledge that. But you wake up broke every morning. There's just no other way to put it. If you have a job for somebody, you wake up broke every morning and you are at utter risk of being fired that morning. Somebody else holds your life.
Right.
Okay? So residual income is a huge thing. Next slide. Reps, not employees. And I'm going to explain this in a different way this time. And that is that rep is not an employee. They don't eat Fritos underneath the desk. And they don't sit and watch the clock. They don't text while they're working. That person's working for their dreams, their goals. They're not watching the clock and busting out of there 5 minutes before because they're heading on vacation this weekend. It's not their mentality. They work through the weekend. Right? They're busting it out there. All right, next slide. Live anywhere and build your business. And I can't emphasize this enough in the current civil unrest that's in America right now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's terrorism on our home front. Okay? So I want to choose where I live.
Yep.
All right? You can see my life there. I like to have my sons, plural now. I like to have my sons in close. I like to have, I live in a farming community. I have a river that runs through my backyard. I have a food, I have food producing property. This is what my wife and I choose to have as our life. The guy that lives next door to me, he has 30 acres, and he is an elderly man. He's in his mid-90s, and I was talking to one of his sons leaning against a fence post. And I said, I go, so what happens when your dad passes away? And he said, he goes, oh, we'll inherit property. And I said, are you going to move here? And he goes, no, I work down in the city there. I'd love to, but I live down in the city. I would have to work down in the city. How sad. He's not living where he wants to live. He's living where his boss wants him to work. Do you see that that's like a brainwash? Like, wait a minute. You just said you wanted to live here. Quit the job. What would I do? Gee, I don't know. Next slide. Family business. If you can't tell, I love my wife. I love that we have the same common conversations every day. Oh, so-and-so is doing this. So-and-so is promoting this. So-and-so is doing that. We talk about it all the time. And I love that. I can't imagine a relationship where it's like split. You kiss goodbye in the morning, you kiss goodnight, you kiss goodbye in the morning, you kiss goodnight. It's called a relationship, right? No. Not for us. Okay, we like to work from home. And if you don't want to make a family business, don't. But I love the option. Next slide. Don't work with those you don't like. You have one thing, and one thing only, and that's your life force. And if you go to work every day and somebody is reducing your life force, it's not worth whatever they're paying you. Okay, so you get to work with who you want to work and only. Next slide. You get money and lifestyle. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money. I don't know anybody who has more of a lifestyle than I do. Nobody. I don't care if they have billions. They don't have more lifestyle than me. Because I do what I want when I want. And I call it every day is a Saturday. It's like you wake up and, my son goes, is today a school day? and on Saturdays I go, no. And he's like, yay! So that's the way I live my life, is every day is a Saturday. Next slide. This is a huge one. This is a huge one. You need to say this every single time you talk to somebody. Let's suppose that we were going to open an ice cream shop. And we're going to put it right in the center of Miami. It's hot down there, right? So we're going to put it in Miami. Now, how far are people willing to drive to your store? I figure it to be about 20-minute drive. And so they'll come from here, from the corners here, and the people next door are going to come more frequently. But by and large, you are locked into a geographic boundary because of distance and how they travel. You got that? Real clear in your mind, okay? Because I'm going to expand on this. All right, a tourist comes by occasionally. But other than that, that is your limitation. You can't get more customers than that. All right? So, in the anti-MLM world, so people who trash MLM, there's only about 12 or 13 of them. But they link to each other, and so when you search it, it comes up all common. But I know them all, and they're all cowards. I have that on TV there. Because I've asked them all for a debate. They won't debate me. They'll debate anybody else. They'll go on Fox News. They will not go on me. Right? And it's because I'm knowledgeable. I crush all of their things like that. So what they'll tell you, next slide. What they'll tell you is that there are no territories, and so therefore you saturate the market too quick. That's what they say. And I just sit there looking at them, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute, let me get this straight. Let's say we're running a race. If I get to the finish line first, what are you going to do? Jump out of the car and say, hey, that's not fair. You beat me to the finish line. Wait a minute, isn't that the game? Right? I'm in combat, and I shoot the guy. He jumps up and says, hey, that's not fair. You shot me first. I don't know what the game was here, but I kind of didn't want to get shot, so I shot you first. Sorry, I didn't play fair. In other words, who taught this guy that territories is the way to go? No. People who want territories are lazy. All right? If I want to get into Miami, I get into Miami. If Miami is already under leadership, then I'm going to run up to Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to jump over to Biscayne Bay. I'm going to find some other place to go. And so, next slide. So I want the world as my market. And you know what? If I find out that there's prospects on Pluto, I'm going. Right? In other words, it's who gets there first that matters. All right? It really does matter. Sorry. And we're playing to win. One of the first things I said to Mark Wilson when he was recruiting me is I said, you're not going to stop me from selling. He goes, of course not. I go, no. You don't understand what I'm saying. In other words, don't limit me in any way. Don't tell me I can't advertise. Don't tell me I can't do this, I can't do that. Because we're here to create a $10 billion company, and that's the game. Yeah. Next slide. Is it professional? Woo! Here we go. Next slide. So let's first just talk about the logic of what's the definition of professional group. I mean, how would you define it? Is it that everyone wears suits, everybody has college degrees, everybody's spelled correctly, and everybody is in an expensive building? Is that a professional group? You know, I walked into one of these one time, many years ago, and you know what they did for a living? They made nuclear bombs. Yeah, to blow up sectors of our planet and people on it. Is that a professional group? I don't care how they're dressed or how they spell. Okay, so you cannot put a definition on professionalism based upon somebody's dress code. Next slide. What I have found, next slide. What I have found is that is the group helping mankind or harming them. That is the pure definition of professionalism. Now, I do not discredit and say that your appearance, your hygiene, the way you communicate doesn't matter. It very much does matter, and you know that if you know the 10 communication qualities. However, next slide. There is another issue to this, and that is that condescending thing. You know, I don't see myself doing this. Also known as this is below me. Next slide. Let's talk about it. Number one, they will say that if they have been exposed by somebody who is unprofessional, meaning hygiene, meaning communication skills, and all of those other things. And it was just rude, the way they bugged them too much or something. Okay? So I'm going to give that credit. Number two, most of the time, next slide, most of the time, they have an artificial identity. Now, what's an artificial identity? You know when you were in school and you wore the wrong shoes? I used to wear these, I wanted to wear Converse tennis shoes, but I got the Kmart sleds. These things were boats, man. When you walk down the hallway, they flop. You know? And so I was uncool. And so people made fun of me. And a lot of times that happens in school, and you're kind of brainwashed into wanting and being obsessed with being approved by your peers.
Right.
And people who are obsessed, okay, they must be accepted by their peers. They get brainwashed into their own identity doesn't even exist anymore. They're functioning off of some identity that says that I have to drive X kind of car, I have to have this kind of shoes, they have to have wingtips, but only if they're bow tied. You know what I mean? You guys have seen this, right?
Yep.
Okay, so when somebody becomes obsessed with that, then they look around at their peers and they don't see them doing network marketing, and so therefore it's not right. And they would rather give up, listen closely, they would rather be accepted than wealthy with lifestyle. That's the truth. Because their own identity doesn't exist. You look inside, it's not them. It is their peers pushing influence on what they think about. So, you know what? They would rather, put it on a credit card. Put their BMW on a credit card, put their watch on a credit card, so that they look the part. They're not the part. Okay? So truthfully, next slide, these are not prospects to me. Because their identity isn't them and it gets in their way. Next slide. Can I make money with it? Next slide. Yes, you can. It always comes down to training. All right, just very logically. What's the difference between a high school football team and a professional football team? Training, right? They had a lot of training and good training. That's the difference. What's the difference between a middle school science class and a PhD level science class? Training. What else could it be? What's the difference between military boot camp, the basics, and elite special forces? Training. A baby who can speak, a baby who can't speak. Training. Can anybody tell me that there's anything different? It's always training. Next slide. There is no such thing as a person who can't do network marketing. Next slide. Only a person unwilling to train long enough to develop the skill.
Yep.
Next slide. After training, this is a big one. After training, then you have to go into activities. Your activities have to shift to those things that yield results. All right, a lot of people in education keep educating. You know what, I'm not going to do what I trained to do. I'm going to teach what I trained to do. You see, there's a bridge, and you watch it. The more education you get, it's good. And then at some point, you lose the confidence that you can do. And so you have to train about the distance of the boss and then go do. And it's engaging in doing that you actually start moving up. Okay, so do, so educate, do, educate, do, educate, do, so that you don't end up just teaching.
Right.
Next slide. Some prospects, and I'm going to give you the difficulty here, some prospects are going to say yes. What do? You ensure that they get results. Number 2. Next slide. No, they're going to say no to you. Thank them for considering it. Move on. That's just, Next slide. Let me think about it. If they say that, then you're just going to keep following up until you get a yes or no. Does that seem hard to any of you?
No.
Please raise your hand if you see that as being hard. Good thing. Next slide. Next slide. People who tell me that is hard have lived a plush life. They should try defusing underwater bombs. This thing is not hard. This is the easiest thing in the world. Right? It really is. All right. Next slide. So that was how I explained network marketing. Now I want to talk to you about why I chose RX. All right? Next slide. I'm not going to go through all of these. These are the things, in other words, when, and listen very closely for a moment. When a person does not know how to evaluate a business, then they have to listen to the opinions of others. Okay? And oftentimes, that's the reason people go into a business, is because of the opinions of another. And I know how to evaluate this industry. I might not be able to know how to evaluate a cow, but I can evaluate this business real well. Number one is, will the company go long term? You have to solve that out. Number two is, will the product sell outside the network? Will it grow and continue to grow? Will you be compensated well? Is it professional? You know what? That's not supposed to be here. It's all right. You didn't do it. I did. Okay. And then will the training result in result? Okay? That's what you're looking for. Those are the way you evaluate. I'm going to walk that through. I'm not going to go do all of them. I'm going to do a couple of them. Next slide. If you want to see the full thing in detail, you can go to rxreps.com, search Tim Sales, and you'll see a video called Why Tim Sales Chose RX. You can see the whole video there. Right. Now, listen closely. I always discuss the following with MLM prospects. All right? I never discuss all of this with non-MLM prospects. And that is where I need to make sure that you get it, because that's a PhD level. That video is a PhD in this industry. Yeah. So it's not to be sent to your next door neighbor who, works at Morgan Stanley. I mean, they're out of business right now. Sorry. I had a next door neighbor that worked at Morgan Stanley. He used to always look downward over the fence at me. Next slide. All right, so will the company go long term? Next slide. I know how to evaluate. I was on the inside of these guys for several years, so I knew them very, very well. Right? That's the bottom line on how I was able to evaluate them. Most of the time, you don't get that kind of forensic research like I got. I was on the inside. I saw behind the curtain before they ever, like I was back there before they would come out here, and I would see what the level of difference was. All right, so I knew a lot about it. I had consulted about 200 network marketing companies, so I'd been behind the curtain on a lot of companies, so I knew what to look for. This thing right here, the reps agreement, next slide, this is a big deal. It's called the Bill of Rights inside of it, and that determines whether you go long-term with the company or not. And this is a big deal, and every prospect that I ever talk to who has network marketing experience, I talk about this. Right? A lot of them don't believe me. I am very polite with them when they dismiss me, because they will call back, because they will remember this. Did you guys just hear what went on at Nika? No. Yeah, they just terminated the network marketing side.
Oh my God.
When we first started doing this thing, I remember this one guy going, "Man, I've never heard of any company doing that." I'm like, you haven't consulted 200 companies. You might not have heard about it. But now this is about the third one since RX that I've heard that went down like that. Okay? So, yeah, kind of crazy. Next slide. Will the product sell outside the network? What that means is that is there a legitimate customer? Next slide. I'm going to, by the way, come back to that one in just a minute. Will the company grow and keep growing? That's what I want to cover now. Next slide. So, I never explain this to new network marketing people. Okay? So if they're just people over the corner or over the hedge, I don't talk to them that way. Network marketing leaders, I always have this conversation because it is our competitive advantage. All right, so ideally, you have more than one division. You know how we were talking brands in this company? Right. The problem in network marketing is, number one, is if you do get success, almost immediately you get this perception of saturation. All right, and so then people say, it's already saturated, it's already gone from small to big, I'm going to find a new company. The other thing is that if you ever get negative media, it can wipe you out, right? And so my check went from $65,000 a month to $16,000 a month in 3 months. That is a heart attack. Right. When that happens to you. I don't want that to happen here. And it's one of the reasons that I really, really love this part. Next slide. So the way I like to describe it, if you were to look from an aerial view down, and this is a mall, all malls are set up this way. These are called anchor tenants, one on both sides, or sometimes you have 4 anchor tenants. Okay? And the reason they're called anchors is because they pay the majority of the rent. And all the stores in between are kind of gambles for the real estate owner. And so these anchors, all the parking lots are sitting out here. People come in, and then while they're going over through Nordstrom's to Saks Fifth Avenue, they walk by these places. Right. These places come and go. They're quick pops, if you will. Now, in network marketing, you have to have nutrition and skincare as your anchor tenants because they're consumed every day. So when you see these companies that come out and they're selling AT&T wireless or something like that, they're selling telephone services, and you get, 4 cents commission. Great, right? They're good for pops that you can then sell other products to, but they're not good as standalones. I will never be in electronics. I will never be in a non-consumable. If you don't have the anchor tenants, you've got nothing in your company. I've seen them go and come. I've probably seen 3,000 companies pop onto the scene. Best thing ever. Unbelievable. You can't believe this. All that stuff. And then just happens. They're gone. Okay? So you got to have that. And then you can have these little, pops. And that's what they are to me. They're pops. Okay? So we build by brands. And so we can have our anchor tenants on the outside, and then on the inside, next slide, we can have Purity, Juve, Slenderize, Nutrify, all these different brands, and we can have these quick ones if we wanted to. Next slide. Juve, look at that. Will that sell outside the network? You bet it will. That's professional. Next slide. Nutrify, wow. If you guys have been through some of my training on weight loss, you'll know how much affinity I have for these products. Next slide. Purity, water filtration, air filtration. Next slide. So I'm showing you what I show. And then Prime, hey, you changed my one I got to put on there. Somebody went in there and changed that because I had a cool one. Next slide. All right, and then weight loss. And it's no surprise to anybody. I have chosen Slenderize as the brand I'm going to promote to most people. MLM leaders, I tell them what I just showed you. But most people, here's the way I do it. Next slide. All right, so this guy just popped out on the scene. Just hit on Facebook, I don't know, 20 hours ago, something like that. He shows his before and after pictures. 31 pounds in 30 days. Next slide. His wife puts it up on Facebook. And it took about 3 hours to have 7 people say, send me a link on how I can get this. And I have them right there so you can see it. Audrey West, are you in the room? All right. Can you just stand up and yell and tell what was your weight loss story that you put on Facebook?
Sure. So I put a post on Facebook on my own personal post and in one group that said a year after having my 2 kids, I was about 20 pounds overweight and I couldn't stop eating bread. I had a really hard time doing it. I tried different diets, it didn't work. And I'm obviously paraphrasing this, but then I said, I did this program, I lost the 20 pounds, I completely got rid of all my carb and sugar and bread cravings, and now I'm 20 pounds lighter. And if you have any interest in this or if you want any help, send me a private message or comment below. And I got 200 responses to that.
Boom! Okay. So, that gives you a clue as to why I don't push the MLM, the why choose RX, all of that on new people. What you don't know about that gal is that she was sitting in my living room the day after I signed up. And she's a friend of ours. I told her, you're going to hate me in a few years. Okay? Her brother signed up. Her brother signed up her mother. But Audrey didn't. It's not a bad thing. Let me show you why. I'm just going to run through some here. Next slide. All right, so there you can see some of these before and after pictures. Next slide. Aren't you glad I cropped that? Look at the before and afters. Next slide. This guy lost 137 pounds in a year and 8 months. Look at that difference. Right? Next slide. 80 pounds. Next slide. Marcus Cox over there on the left. I think he's here. Marine on the right. Next slide. Okay, we do this all day long. Okay, these are by the hundreds. Next slide. There's Steve Wilson, 34 pounds, 60 days. Next slide. Michael Ranger, he had a baby, 60 days. Next slide. This is an old buddy of mine. We've known each other for 20 years, more, 20 years. He lost 75 pounds. He was a personal trainer. And next slide. Okay, so that gives you an idea. Now, let me show you the actual statistics. I have this little thing that I have that's running all the time. It updates real time. And so right here are the men, and 207 clinical packs we've sold, and out of that, 57 of those becomes representatives. On the women's side, 99 to 48. That's a 27%. 48% of women, 27% of men, 48% of women who buy the clinical pack convert to be reps. That is why I do it this way. Is because once they have a story, they don't wonder who the customer is. It's simple to them. I take this, I lose weight, it's easy. And so that's the reason that's the way I prefer non-MLM people. Okay, next slide. That is where I show you that, will it sell outside the network? Because all of those are just customers.
Yep.
Okay, next slide. Will I be compensated well? Next slide. You guys know this already. But the things that I cover is that I like to work people, not comp plans. And it doesn't matter in this comp plan, wherever somebody is, I can work with them. And I love to work with energetic, powerful people. And so I just, that's why I work comp plan, or I work people, not comp plans. 30% more than any of them. I've seen them all. This one has about 30% more income. Big print giveth, small print taketh away. That is a rule in this industry, and this company does not have a small print. They don't have the tripwires that normally steal the comp plan from you. Next slide. So yes, you can make money. You got to remove all your excuses and just go. That's the bottom line. Next slide. That little boy up in the left-hand side, that's me. And I had a dream. I was in JCPenney's, and I saw that bicycle right there. It was the first 10-speed with disc brakes bike in the world. And I sat there while my dad walked around JCPenney's, went on over to Sears, came back. I'm sitting there staring at this bicycle. I came home, and I used my dad's lawnmower, and I mowed yards for 2 years and raked leaves to get that bicycle. All my friends thought I was crazy because I wasn't playing ball in the street. Right? We always had sticks and rocks and would play ball in the street. And then one time I drove by, next slide please, and my friend said, man, that bike is cool. I wished I had one of those. And I said, well, there's a neighborhood that I haven't hit yet. If we walk through the backwoods and get there, you can use my lawnmower and I'll help you. And his phrase to me was, too far to walk. So he didn't get a bicycle. Next slide. When I was in the military, that's a very famous dog, for those of you who have listened to Professional Inviter, that dog's name is Buckshot. That's me in the military. I took a course on learning how to do body repair on a car, and Bondo and paint and stuff like that. And what I would do is that I would go to the mall. I lived in Hawaii. I'd go to the mall and I would create a quote, like a price quote on a door ding on somebody's car, and I'd put it in the windshield and say, I'll fix your car for you. And then on the weekends, when I was off of the military work, I would fix cars. And I'd walk the mall parking lots and put quotes. I'd probably put 200, 300, 400 quotes out in an entire day, so that I could then work the next weekend in fixing the cars, right? And so I bought, next slide, I bought a Jeep. I made enough money to buy a Jeep that was wrecked, And I just had to put a new hood on it and a fender and a windshield. I spray painted it, and now I had a convertible. Well, nobody in the military at that time ever had a car. And so you were the coolest guy in the world if you had a convertible like I had. And so my best friend who I was in the same barracks with, he goes, man, you are so lucky. And I said, dude, it's not luck. I can do it for you. I can do it with you. I'll show you how. I'll paint the cars. You just go out with me and I'll show you how to do it. We went out and we're walking in Waikiki at the mall, and we got this, we kept putting out quotes. And after a few hours, like about 6, next slide, he said these words, 6 hours walking a parking lot, this is stupid. Next slide. This is the last picture that I had before I joined network marketing. Okay, so I don't look like a nice guy there, right? I was not a nice guy. You did not want to meet me at that time. I had to develop skills in all kinds of things. So I got into a skincare company in network marketing as your ad. And so I was having like this marine mud that pulled pimples out, various different things. And I got my friends. I had about 5 that were in my platoon. And I got them and I sat down in my living room and I was sharing this whole thing. We had like a Harley Davidson parked in the living room. It was tilted, and anybody know a Harley that doesn't leak? There's not one. And so it's sitting in the living room and I'm talking to these guys about what this is. And my best friend is looking like this. The whole time, expressionless. And when I got done, I go, so what do you guys think? Next slide. Tim, you become a sissy. He didn't use that word. He used another word. That one will suffice. And I remember sitting there, and I remembered too far to walk. 6 hours walking a parking lot. This is stupid. I remembered those excuses. And so I kept going. Next slide. It took me 5 years to get to $150,000 a month of residual income, and I retired and kept that income for 18 years. Next. Thank you. Next slide. I then was asked to teach at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Imagine me, teach. Are you kidding? All right? I didn't need a scholarship for school. I hated school. There's no school would get me in them because I didn't want to do school. I hated school. But here I am, a professor. Are you kidding? Next slide. Interviewed by Larry King. Next slide. Grant Cardone on network marketing.
That was awesome.
Okay. My best guesstimation. Next slide. I made about $12 million in network marketing, and I'm just starting now. Okay. So I have a question. Do you have an excuse? Okay, let me tell you a secret about your excuse. It's legitimate. It's not a pretend. It's legitimate. And I'll tell you why I know it's legitimate. It's because it's convinced you. All right? I too wanted to play ball in the street. I too wanted to do whatever instead of doing those things. But I love getting what I want. Next slide. You will get what you want just after you decide you have no excuses.
That's right.
All right? All right, next slide. Network marketing is the right industry, and RX is the only company, and I don't say that without enormous knowledge behind that statement. It is the only company. All right, so you're in the right company, you're in the right industry. Next slide. This is my new boy, and my wife and my family, and I just wanted to thank you guys for being here. My wife really wishes she was here. She texted me this morning, and a picture of Braxton this morning. This is 1 month old today. And so she really misses you guys. She wished she was here. And so I want you guys to just kind of reach around and say, we miss you, Laura. She's on All right. So I thank you for being in RX. I thank you for being here and for taking the time. All right. So I get the honor of introducing the next speaker. Am I doing that? I was told. Oh, yeah. Okay. Next slide. So me and this guy, we've kind of traveled all over the world building this company.